All right, Tundra Nation, we are live. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel tonight on, I almost said Tundra Talk, on the Tundra Nation. Oh my goodness, yes, we made it. Sorry for the, we'll call it just a delay. A delay from, it's supposed to be last week. It is this week now. And that is something that we will mention or talk about just a little bit later. Stand by one, I'm getting a message. Flash traffic. Okay, nothing important. Thought it was relevant to the situation up here, but it is not. So, like I said, welcome, episode number 1. Gosh, I normally have a whole bunch of stuff to draw on and talk about from previous episodes, but I don't right now because it's episode number 1. Party on, Garth.
There are none. Party on, Wayne.
Out freaking standing. We made it, baby.
Shit.
Now that we're here, I feel like
man.
the dog that's chasing the car right now.
Yeah?
We caught the car. What the fuck do we do now?
What do we do now? Yeah.
Jesus,
yeah.
like
Well,
we're
just
here.
don't get run over, I guess. That's
I guess.
step one.
I feel like the car, the owner of the car was like nice. For some reason, thought we were cute, got out, and then like tried to adopt us, which is strange. That analogy did not go in the direction that I wanted it to go. But
No,
hey,
it got a little bit weirder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one of us is wearing a leash?
that's Tofu.
Okay. Yeah. Nailed it.
Chat, how you guys doing tonight? We do have a little bit of extra bonus time, so let's go through a bit of a roll call, see who's all here. We got Dan Booker in the house saying, yo word gangsta. Yes, I am one. Thank you for recognizing. Game recognizes game, as Oleg would say. Tactical Pineapple is in the house. Brian's saying, damn it, for whatever reason. Uncle Mike is here. The holsters are, still needing some improvement. Canadian Air 15 guy. He says, in it to win it. Ghost Raven says, in the top 10, I do believe you are correct, sir. Welcome to the show. J-Bach is saying, what's up to everybody? Braden Phillips saying, I only came here for the throwing up on camera. Hopefully that doesn't happen tonight, but we shall see. We shall see. Scott Stalingrad, also known as Carnage, is here. Pintos be pimpin', he says. I like that. Big Fun is referencing the title of the new video. Yep. Let's see. Pyro's in the house. Wolfpack's here. Scott P79 saying, hey, y'all. Scott, what's up, dude? Procast is saying hello. William Cooper says, hells yes, I'm here. And we are happy that you're here, Mr. William Cooper. Tony, OP Tony right there. Tony's OP. Nerf. Please nerf. Can't believe I've never made that joke before. Yeah. Capitalist is here. What's up, Cap? How you doing, buddy? Meatball 150's in the house, as well as Leg Demon. The Amish Mafia is saying hello, Tundra Nation, and hello back to you. It's strange not seeing Tundra Tactical in here highlighted.
Yeah.
There's going to be a few probably slip-ups as the alchemical gets a little bit more taken over in my bloodstream there. Who else do we got? And 7X Ranger and Roto showing up together. I wonder where they've been.
There's no wondering.
No, we don't want to go there. Flying Wolf says, hello, everyone. I'm going to listen while doing work. Outstanding. Well, Flying Wolf, we miss you in the Discord, buddy. Get that work done soon so you can return it to us. Of course, Mario Mechanic Molina is here, as well as Big Fun and Blackhawk. So I think that covers most everybody. If I missed you, I apologize. I'll try to get you up next time. Dickie B, of course. Can't skip out on him. But I think I got most people in the chat there. As we said earlier, focus, you fuck. As we said earlier, it is a new show. It is a new era for the Tundra Nation. Actually, no, it really isn't. It's pretty much going to be the same show, just rebranded onto a different channel with better equipment, and that is a great little lead-in to some of the upgrades that we've done to the show based off of your guys' well, at least on my end, based off of your guys' generosity. Before we dive into that, however, let's go into a quick little bit of housekeeping. So Hypo, if you don't mind delaying hot takes for just a minute or two,
I'll sit on it.
I wish I wasn't talking there. Otherwise, I would have clipped that and turned it into a sound bite.
No, I did that intentionally.
Damn. All right. Anyways, I was gonna say you would sit on it. Anywho, if you guys like the channel enough to be here, chances are you are in the Discord. But if you are not, there is going to be a link in the description below to the Discord to where you can join up. It's essentially this show 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It gets wild, it gets crazy, but it's a ton of fun. You get a ton of opportunity to hang out with myself, Pat, and the rest of the Tundra Nation crew here, as well as the greater Tundra Nation. I'm pretty proud to say that I think we're getting close to pushing about 800 members in that Discord. And then very consistently, we've got, between 100 and 150 people online. Good chunk of those are active people. And there's just a lot of fun to be had. We're playing games a ton. Right now, we're playing a lot of War Thunder, ships and aircraft. But yeah, come on in, hang out. The water's just fine. And as long as Tufu doesn't get too drunk, he'll try not to put his finger in your butt. What? I'm not speaking from personal experience, by the way. Nothing like that happened at SHOT Show, I promise.
OnlyFans/TundraTactical.com.
Still one of my favorite comment responses. I guarantee you people clicked on that. Guarantee you people... Wait, what? Is that really a thing? You're disgusting, by the way, if you clicked on that. You disgust me. Also slightly intrigued as to if I should start one or not. Totally joking. Well, not going to start one. If it is...
Financial streams or financial streams.
Yeah. If it is going to be anything, it's just going to be like a troll picture of Hypo's ass crack. That's pretty much... That's
really trolly, yeah.
That's pretty much all it's going to be. If you guys feel like supporting the channel to the next level, be really part of the Tundra Nation and support us financially or monetarily, we have a couple of options for you to do so. Unfortunately, because this is a new channel, we do not have the YouTube membership stuff anymore until we get to a certain level of subscribers, which will be probably some period of time, considering this is the backup channel to the nation. But the alternative methods are super chats, of course. You can find those super chats down in the bottom right-hand corner, I believe, of your comment window. However, we don't necessarily recommend that because our good old YouTube overlords take 33% of that money, as I'm pointing with a cleaning brush.
You've always got a unique utensil to threaten me with.
Do I? Really?
There was a fork earlier today.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, now I got a cleaning brush. I'm gonna scrub your skin off. that would be awful. This. Yeah,
that's a slow, horrible death.
This would start hurting significantly after a while. Because it's a nylon one. But anyways, I digress. They take 33% of the money that you give to us and then reinvest that back into their infrastructure, which censors gun content. So, we don't have super chats either, apparently. So the only way that you can support the channel, and the preferred method, is to find us direct on PayPal and Patreon. Patreon.com/TundraTactical, and the actual preferred method is direct through PayPal at going to PayPal.com. and using the email address tyler@tundratactical.com. So yeah, that pretty much covers housekeeping. We're up and running. The new channel's here, baby. Like I said, same show, same exact show, just a different location. And we'll grow this side of the business for some time now. And this is kind of where I think the show is going to live permanently. What do you think about that, Hypo?
I kind of like that. I think my personal goal for the channel is going to be able to have super chats available to us, even if we don't like them, just based on the amount of people that are watching.
Yeah, I think you need something around like 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers, because I know that when we started the channel, I believe that even from the get-go, we had super chats available. And when the show started, we were something like 2,200, 2,300 subscribers. It was not a very big audience to start with. But yeah. That'll be the goal. We'll call it a stretch. We'll call it a stretch goal and see how it should be. Yeah, I think, Tony, you're right. He says you need 1,000 subs or more. So tell your friends, get them over here. Let's have a grand old time. So sticking with the traditional show format, we are going to dive in, unless there's anything you want to talk about housekeeping-wise, Hypo.
No, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight.
We do. We've got a great show.
We'll just keep the thing moving.
We do. We've got a great show on this, the 1th episode of the Tundra Nation.
I was just saying off air, like, how weird it is to have, such a low subscriber count and to just feel like you're starting over.
Right, I know. I feel like we're rookies.
It's just such a strange feeling.
Rookies with the cause. But yeah, hey, let's talk about some of the investments that we've made to make the show a little bit better, to look and sound better, and in reality, flex on the pores just a little bit. Because we've made some significant upgrades. If you can't tell, the show should sound a significant amount better, and this was actually revealed on episode 100. So if you missed that, you'll hear it here. But we have old Big Blackie here, taking care of the sound capture for myself, and then Hypo's Big Blackie down there taking care of the sound capture. So we've switched back to very nice dynamic microphones. This is the Shure SM7B. If you've ever watched a stream before, I'm sure you've seen it. People with a lot more money than I can afford it, but very fortunately, I have some very, very generous fans that helped me by donating some of their hard-earned kopecks and getting this. And then on top of the audio upgrade, Mr. Hypoluxia is coming to you in sweet, sweet high definition, high bitrate detail. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your upgrade there, buddy?
Because I'm a poor and I didn't spend money on a microphone, I decided to buy a camera instead. So I got a low-end Canon 5000D E100 European DSLR camera.
I've got the hiccups.
So that I can.
Damn it.
Yeah, I've noticed this. Yeah, professionalism, you fuck.
Yeah.
Well,
That was
anyway,
harsh.
so I decided to upgrade to a DSLR for the webcam, just because I wanted to have like my background blurred out in case the ATF raids.
Yeah.
You guys want to have to see that?
That beautiful LED bokeh in the background. Let's move that head real quick. And let's just check out those bokeh balls. Those hashtag bokeh balls. Yeah. Not those. No, not those. Let's get a quick little shout out here. We do have a couple of incoming PayPal things.
I see something about ATHF from Dickie B, and I'm excited for you to say something about this because that is one of my favorite cartoons.
There you go.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
There you go. The same person, Mr. Dickie B, drops 50 bones into the super chat. Dickie B, you're a champion, buddy. He says, oh please, Master Shake, won't you protect us from all the monkeys?
Listen, I'm the leader. That's all I'm going to say, Dickie B. I'm the leader.
And then, of course, from Meatball, dropping the 10 bones into the super chat saying, happy new channel. Happy new channel day to us. I agree. It is a happy, happy day. I'm sorry. The last couple of weeks over here have been a little bit crazy. So, obviously, the show was canceled last week due to current events up here. But the rest of the week has been a bit of a drag, to be perfectly honest with you. So my energy level and my motivation level are a little bit below where they would be, and I'm sure you can kind of hear that in the sound of my voice. But I promise you, everything is good. We just got to fight through it, get back up and running. The show must go on, right? The show must go on.
Must.
So let's dive right into Hypo's hot takes. Believe it or not, all of that only took 12 minutes, which is a pretty good time for us. In relation to our want, or excuse me, my want to digress on every second sentence that I say. So let's dive right into Hypo's hot takes, and we got a damn good one for you folks here today. Hypo, unfortunately, because of my screen setup right now, I'm not going to be able to read the comment, so I'm going to rely on you to read it aloud to the class.
You're assuming I can actually read.
I am.
So, a little backstory on this. Tyler sent me a message from a comment from a viewer a couple weeks ago. It says, hey, we need to talk about this, and maybe it's a chance to educate. So I agree. I agree completely, and I want to read this comment verbatim. I'm not going to mention who it's from, but I think that there's some misinformation.
It came
or a lot of misinformation.
I can't remember what video it came off of. It might have been one of the new shooter guides that we did. So it's an older comment that we've kind of been sitting on for some time. Haha. But
on it?
Yes. It's the second time sitting on it's been referenced.
Yeah, what's wrong with us?
Is this a theme for the new channel? I wonder. But anyways,
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So
moving on.
Yeah, moving on. It is something that I guarantee you people out in the Tundra Nation here, out in the chat, have heard before, probably on multiple occasions, and it's something that I think, like Hypo said, needs to be addressed. And with that, I will turn it over to you, sir, to read the question.
All right, let me get this queued up here on my cellular telephone so I can zoom in here. All right, so the comment says, lights are good, but a laser is a deterrent in some situations, as it can give the assailant the understanding that you will shoot them. Not all, probably not most, but the ones you don't have to shoot is a plus. All right, I agree with that. Shooting too fast in a non-combat can land a person in jail. Not in combat, not a cop, then a deterrent is a good option if it can be used before pulling a trigger. I have on 2 occasions been able to deter stupidity just by raising my shirt to display my CCW. Deterrents can work.
Okay, so what I want to do is I want to break that down section by section because there's a couple of different points that he's making in
There's
there.
yeah.
And like I said, like I'm not gonna dunk on this guy, just because this is like one of those like not serious conversations, but it's just one of those things that in a roundabout way gets talked a lot, and there's just not a whole lot of good answer out there, and the people who do render opinions tend to feel like so unbelievably strong one way or the other that there isn't really a dialogue that happens. It's just one of those I'm right, you're wrong, end of story. This is, if you don't like it, then shut up and get out, you fucking nerd. That type
Yeah.
of thing. So let's break down the first bit about lights and lasers and talk about that a little bit.
As a deterrent.
Yep.
Okay.
So go
So
ahead. Go
I
ahead. Yeah,
mean,
just
let's
reread that part to start it off for me, just so it's fresh in my brain.
okay. Lights are good, but a laser is a deterrent in some situations,
Okay.
as it can give the assailant the understanding that you will shoot them.
Okay. So
I think that's the complete thought is that having a laser and displaying that you are using a laser sight is a deterrent because it shows intent.
it shows
If I'm
intent.
reading this
Okay.
into that correctly.
So I'm gonna do something that I almost never do, and use like movie cliches to prove a point in the firearms industry, which is generally speaking, I think, a bad idea. But
I think it's pretty appropriate in this
I think
instance,
it's
though.
appropriate in this case. Think of the classic movie trope of the police officer coming into a building, or the hero coming into a building, and all of a sudden there's the little red dot on his chest or on his forehead or something like that, and then his buddy
50
sees
lasers.
it. Yeah, his buddy sees it and he comes and tackles him out of the way. Well, why did his buddy have to come and tackle him out of the way? The bad guy is displaying intent, right? He's not gonna. There's no way. Even if this was, in my opinion, a legitimate argument, which unfortunately it's not, but I'm not going to be an asshole about it. Even if it was a legitimate argument, there's no way that a bad guy is going to be like constantly like looking down at his chest to see if there's a laser there. And because the laser is not visible until it contacts something, or it's like passing through particulate in the air, which is the only thing that I can think of that would make this valid.
Or he's in our presence and we're
Yeah, exactly. the cinematic and dramatic effect. I don't see how in reality that's ever going to work. The alternative of that being a light, there is a tactical advantage that you gain from a light. And I guess theoretically, maybe not practically, but theoretically there is a certain advantage that you can gain from having a laser. But I would absolutely say that from a straight deterrence factor, which his statement about the person you don't have to shoot, that's the best kind of situation to be in, right? Don't disagree with that, but I don't think that a laser is ever going to give you that deterrence, or it'll be in such a specific or fractional like minority of cases that it's just not viable. Your thoughts?
I can't add to that. You emulated everything I thought completely. You don't look down. If somebody's pointing a gun, you don't look down. You're looking at a guy with a gun.
Yeah, it's the last thing that you see.
You're not going to notice that. You're not going to be like flicking the dot off your chest.
Get off my nipple! Get off my nipple!
Get.
Yeah, right.
It. So yeah, I don't see lasers as a deterrent at all.
I can see one other argument, like in favor for the lasers, like the counter argument to this would be, well, if you're staring down the barrel of that gun, you're gonna see the red coming out of.
You will, yeah.
Sure, okay, I'll give you that, but at the same time, what's more of a deterrent, staring down the barrel of that gun, or the laser,
or the little red dots?
Yeah. So I think that's the last thing on somebody's mind. Like, I know if I'm staring down the barrel of a 9mm or something like that, or home defense shotgun or an AR, the literal last thing I'm thinking about is like, oh, is that a laser? Is that a laser, bud? Are you intending?
Did you get that from Wish?
Yeah.
Or
are you intending to shoot?
Where'd you get that from?
I don't think that way of thinking applies to the real world. I've said this before on stream, and I think that lasers do hold a valid purpose in a very specific scenario, and that's in training. So when you're sitting at the house, or you're in a classroom or something like that, you got a blue gun or you got a dummy gun, that has a functioning trigger, and you're working on like trigger press and trigger pull and something like that. You're out in the range, you're struggling low and left or low and right, depending on if you're a right-handed shooter or a left-hand shooter, and you keep on struggling and struggling. So you go take a class, and then that instructor puts a dummy gun in your hand or something with a laser on it, and says, okay, your target is that light switch over there. As you pull that trigger, I want you to watch what that point does on target. And that way you have a visual reference as to your influence on the placement of that bullet downrange. Excuse me. So that is the one practical purpose, I think. I think that's the one practical purpose that a laser has, and that's pretty much it. I don't see another version.
And I guess you could, and this is a very minuscule you could make the argument in terms of and I'm going to use the word point shooting. It does give you a no like you don't have to focus on the front sight in order to acquire your target. I don't subscribe to using that in terms of home defense, but I could see where somebody, if they train properly, they probably could. It is an aiming device, but beyond that, no. And in terms of deterrence, again, I don't think any tactical advantage to that.
All right, so let's move into the second part of his bit there.
Yeah. So second bit. Shooting too fast in non-combat can land a person in jail. Not in combat, not a cop. Then a deterrent is a good option. I think we could probably get past that. I don't really follow the intent of that thought.
I know where he's going just based off of that first sentence. So he's talking about the thing that we were talking about when we were recording the first episode of the podcast today. Yes, that will be talked about a little bit later.
Teaser.
When we were talking about stopping power, so the spoiler is episode number 1 is it's going to be a series called Gun Myths, and we were discussing the gun myth revolving around stopping power, or maybe the misconceptions around that term. And
to break your train of thought real quick,
yeah.
Are we going to have POWAH as stopping power?
Power.
Power.
Yeah, right. Anywho, you did break my train of thought. Damn it.
Tried.
Shooting too fast. Okay,
shooting too fast.
So we were talking about, aiming for the head in a defensive scenario can land you in some hot water because once again what he's talking about is kind of the in my interpretation maybe the legal display of intent to do harm as opposed to being defensive. So shooting too quickly can be an indicator for a prosecutor that you were
before positive identification, all that other stuff. I see what you're saying. Not too many rounds down that direction, but pulling the trigger too quickly.
Yes. Now, okay, I actually believe that is somewhat of a valid statement to an extent. I do believe that in any self-defense engagement, there are a number of relatively meaningless things that could be potentially held against you. And that absolutely could be one of them. If my paycheck came from, being a defense attorney or a prosecutor or something like that, those are the specific types of things absolutely that I would look for to either, defend a client or to prosecute somebody who's accused of whatever they're being accused of at the time. So I can absolutely see that. However, I will argue once again that to use another absolutely cliched and completely out-of-date term that doesn't really apply to the world of today, it's better to be judged than buried, right? Like, I would rather take my chances than do the whole, like, bang, bang, bang. Like, is he dead? Did I get him? Did I get him? But here's the reality. Like that's that variable free world that we were talking about on the podcast. That scientifically perfect world where everything works out in your favor. You could probably get away with that. But when the blood's up and everything's going, we talked about this many times. I'm not going to spend a whole huge amount of time on the subject. Most people, what they're going to do is they're going to dump that mag they're going to dump it as fast as they can pull the trigger. So it's going to be your default reaction, default response, and how you defend yourself against an accusation that would use your rate of fire, so to speak, as a point against you, like what you were talking about. Well, he didn't do this, or he didn't do this, he didn't do this, he didn't do this, he just went right to shooting. Is to understand and know your local laws, understand what constitutes the justifiable use of deadly force in your state or city or county or whatever whatever residential subdivision applies to for those laws. Understand what is required prior to the justifiable use of deadly force, and then at that point in time, there's nothing that can be held against you, provided that you are following the letter of the law and the rule of law. You are allowed to defend yourself, and there's nothing anywhere that says you have to shoot only 2 rounds a second, or 1 round a second, to legally defend yourself. Because most people can understand that, like I said, when you get that adrenaline going, as it was for me last weekend, I know that I don't give 2 shits about my rate of fire. Like, I know that I'm going to accomplish everything that I need to accomplish to meet those rules for the justifiable use of deadly force, and if those rules are not met, I feel like I'm trained enough that even in a heightened situation where the blood's up, the tensions are going, that I will not use it if I'm not legally obligated to, and I will use it if it's met. It's a bit of a sticky conversation and situation, which is why we're going to go with that no further and move on to the next portion. But before we do, let's get her on, the specialist of special guesses. She's about to go sleepy. She's getting a little tired. Oh, there we are. The little bean has arrived. Yeah, right. Exactly, our little pterodactyl. Yeah, this one is starting to realize that she has a volume control and has completely forgotten how to use it. She just goes 100% noise all the time when she wants to. Are you seeing yourself on the computer screen? Is it Uncle Hypo? Is it Uncle Hypo? Everybody say hello to my little baby girl. She's almost 1 year old. In roughly a month and 10 days, she will be 1 year old, and I can't believe it. It was episode 64 that we brought her home and showed her off on camera for the first time. And did you hear that? Tell me you heard that.
I heard it.
That was her.
Dropping.
Yeah. She's her father's daughter. Scotch belch,
hey,
little milk belch there for you. But episode 64, and every episode since then, yeah, I've done that before too. Every episode since then, she has been our specialist of special guests, and she's getting cuter by the day. She's loving. She likes to hit things now, so she, whatever she gets a hold of, she smacks and wants to bash. She loves the. You can't touch that, little love. We might end the stream if you touch that. Yeah, if the stream magically goes dead, it's because her foot
dead air.
Yeah, hit the button to close the stream out. But yeah, it's bedtime for you, little sweet. So you go back to mommy, and let's give a round of applause to little baby Ellie, and of course Mama Mego in the background there for taking care of the baby so that the show can go on. I love you, sweetheart. Sweet dreams.
It looks like she is going to have her mother's hair color.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, she can't have mine.
Yeah.
Right? Not unless she grows a beard.
Or grabs it and rips it off and then puts it on her head.
But anywho, thanks, Mama Mego, for all your hard work. You're outstanding. I love you, little sweet pea. You're my little bean. Okay, sweet dreams. Go snuggle up with your little bunny rabbit. You're the best. Okay, yep, that's Daddy's beard. Yeah. Oh, dear. Ow.
Oh, she got a good grip there.
Oh.
Get it. Take it.
The joys of being a father, right? The joys of being a father. So let's dive into the last part of that, which is I think where the meat and potatoes of what we wanted to talk about comes from.
This is the biggie. I have on 2 occasions been able to deter stupidity just by raising my shirt to display my CCW. So
you want to tackle that one first, or should I?
Oh man, yeah, I'm still a little in awe at the thought of it. Go for it.
So I'll try to relate to what he's saying, and what he's doing and what he's saying is to use a third cliche, is like done with the best intentions. Like his head's in the right spot in regards to deterrence, but what he should actually be looking at, as opposed to deterrence, is what's called avoidance. So there's a major difference between deterrence and avoidance. Conflict avoidance, conflict de-escalation is a skill that we should, as shooters, all have and all understand. Up here in Minnesota, there are 4 pillars that are needed, or 4 things that are needed to justify the use of deadly force. And one of those things is what's called being an unwilling participant. So, for example, if I'm in a parking lot of a Target or, you know, a Cabela's or Bass Pro or something like that, and I'm going in and or let's say even better, I'm looking for a parking spot and I'm turning in and some guy jets in front of me and takes that parking spot, and I give him the middle finger, right? And then 5 minutes later, I meet him inside of that store. He recognizes me, and he comes after me with a knife and tries to stab me. There is an argument that very well could be made that because I gave him that finger, I am no longer an unwilling participant in that fight. I instigated, technically speaking, or participated in the escalation of that fight. So that's kind of the argument for conflict avoidance, keeping a cool head under pressure. There are going to be many times where, you know, you're driving down the road, someone's freaking out at you, and, you know, you look over and they're flailing their arms and they're shouting. Some guy's like, pull over, you know, and you're like, geez, I'm glad I have my gun on me. But, you know, if you're instigating, like flipping the guy off or something like that, and you pull over and get out and he comes out with a baseball bat and you drop him, it'd be tough to prove, but technically speaking, you are not an unwilling participant, because also in Minnesota, if that happens, I guarantee you're going to jail because you pulled over, because here in Minnesota, you also have a duty to retreat, which a lot of states have. Does Nevada have a duty to retreat? Ah, outstanding. So I won't have to worry about that when I move down. But yeah, conflict avoidance and conflict or you know, de-escalation are, I think, where this guy's head is trying to get to. He's stuck on deterrence, but I think his intention is to push people towards something that's completely different than what he's actually talking about, which is conflict avoidance. Deterrence is exactly what he's talking about, like showing your weapon, right? Or putting your hand on your gun. And that probably is quite effective in most cases. Unfortunately, I believe that it's 5th degree assault.
It is. I mean, it really is assault. It's
a certain degree of assault. Brandishing a weapon is essentially assault.
Let's dive into what my thoughts on this initially were too, which is, okay, you have a conflict. Okay, it can't be avoided. You're in a situation, that person's in your face, something's going on, they're being stupid. You do that. Now you've turned this from something that is, and Todd would be so proud of me for saying this, it's a situation where it's just 2 guys arguing, to now you've brought a weapon into play.
Yeah, you've escalated
now,
it. You're the one
now
escalating.
you have absolutely escalated this situation. He knows you have a gun. He's fearing for his life. Legally, I mean, that's what it could be used against you, but you've brought a gun into play. Now what you have to do, instead of just worrying about whether or not he's going to a battery,
I know where you're going. Yep.
Top of the assault, now you have to worry about maintaining control of what you've just shown him. So that element of surprise is gone.
Yep.
And you've escalated the situation.
Yeah.
So
you know, if you
doubly made this bad.
If you go down to your stomach or your back, and that person's, you know, what do you think that guy's going to be going for? He's not going to be trying to hit you no more. He's going to be trying
he's going to try to either A, get that away from you, or B, get that away from you and use it on you.
So the message here in this hot take is, you know, there's nothing wrong with having an opinion, even if it's wrong, right? In this case, pretty much everything that this guy said was wrong, but his head was in the right spot. He's thinking in terms of, dare I say, like an offensive defensive mindset. Like he's like, you know, I'm gonna deter by fear and, you know, the first strike mentality. Like, I've got this and I don't want to use it, but I will. Right? That is assault in, I believe, the 5th degree. If somebody out there can look that up, and see what brandishing is. I believe that that it is classified as assault in the 5th degree. I don't know if it's state-wise specific, federal, or what have you. But that would be awesome if somebody could post that in chat. Make sure to use the @Tundra Tactical tag so I can see it, or see, I did it, @Tundra Nation tag so I can see it. But yeah, guys, don't think in terms of deterrence. Deterrence is not your goal. It's avoidance. You shouldn't have to use that firearm in any way, shape, or form other than to make it go bang. Its intention is not to scare people. You're not out there to put yourself into sticky situations just because you have a firearm on you, and then raise up the shirt and say, "Don't mess with me, bub." That's not the point.
You know, and I think deterrence from the offensive direction can be done other ways too. And there's some tools that people can use. And if you're concealed carrying, you absolutely should learn about conflict avoidance, conflict resolution. You should get involved in that a little bit. But there's 2 tools in particular that I think are very useful. One is to match somebody's level. What?
No, N7X just dropped $25 into Patreon. Says, "We are the Tundra Nation drinking crew. Your rifle sucks, and we hate you." I
fucking love him. Yeah,
that is great. We'll talk about
back
that
to my
next
point.
Year.
So I think one tool to use, and we'll hopefully close off with this, is to match somebody's level of excitement, and then talk them down to your level. You start out, if they're excited and you're excited and things are going on, get up to their level and slowly and consciously bring them down with your speech. Try to de-escalate the situation if you can. You can't avoid it. Do it that way.
I guess, yeah. If the situation is absolutely unequivocally 100% unavoidable, then yeah, absolutely. Try to talk them off that cliff. Project yourself in a professional, non-aggressive.
That was my second
manner.
point. Is, command presence.
Yeah, exactly. Be
let them know.
Not necessarily more powerful than they are, but more present than they are. And some people will get it, some people won't. But where that presence and where that power comes from is the confidence in your ability to maintain control of a situation, not necessarily to defend yourself. We automatically default to defense and shooting, right? But what about the maintenance of control of a situation? How good are you in those tight spots to where your confidence level is high that you could find yourself in a situation and maintain control of it, whatever the end outcome is. Let's say you do de-escalate successfully and everybody walks away happy, and you're giving each other high fives, and you invite them over for next week's barbecue or something like that. Or the opposite end of that happens, and unfortunately you have to use a firearm to defend yourself. Maintain control through confidence in your ability to control the presence and control the variables in that situation. And that, I think, is where we will end Hypo's Hot Takes tonight. Right on. So, hey, let's have a little bit of fun here. I wasn't expecting to do this, but I'm going to bring up... I'm going to mute my mic here after just a second. And I just showed Hypo a music video that I would love to submit. So one of the things that I'd like to do with you guys here in the chat, and by greater extension the Discord, is I'd like to start proposing votes or things for representation of, we'll call it, the Tundra Nation itself. And I think that I have found the official Tundra Nation song/music video. It is by a band called Ailstorm, whom N7X Ranger has recently introduced me to. And the song, as I bring it up here, let's see if I can do this. Yep, we can.
I feel like I need my eye patch again.
Now I wonder. Okay, so I'm going to have to mute the microphone, bring this over. So the song is called The Pirate Metal Drinking Crew. And I am going to play this for you guys here. And I would like you to note specifically the chorus and tell us if this is just not the most Tundra song of all time, translated into the music industry. So here we go. Ailstorm, featuring the Pirate Metal Drinking Crew. Stand by one.
lungs celebrating you. But then the damn pirates came along and said, yo ho ho, you're fucking dead. Now your world's crashing down, only one can survive. It's time you woke up and realized we are the pirate metal drinking crew. We think you're dumb and we hate you too. We are the pirate metal drinking crew. We don't give a fuck, we think you all suck. We are the pirate metal drinking crew. We think you're dumb and we hate you too. We are the pirate metal drinking crew. We don't give a fuck, we think you all suck. Fuck you! Sailing the seas of the distant past, we're on a quest to kick your ass. With cannon fire and battle cry, your mighty legacy will die. With the blood of Blackbeard in our veins, we're bringing slaughter, death and pain. There's no escape, tonight you're screwed, cause we're the pirate metal drinking crew. Across the seven seas, for 1,000 years, we're your greatest wish, we're your darkest fear. We are the pirate metal drinking crew. We think you're dumb and we hate you too. We are the pirate metal drinking crew. We don't give a fuck, we think you all suck. We are the pirate metal drinking crew. We think you're dumb and we hate you too. We are the pirate metal drinking crew. We don't give a fuck, we think you all suck. Fuck you!
I want to note that the smashing of the ukulele is a symbolic effect of the Tundra Nation. I don't know if that's actually a ukulele. It just looks like a really small guitar, but I'm going to stick with my original saying.
I'm really a big fan of the barking cat.
The subtle things.
We are the pirate metal drinking crew. We think you're dumb and we hate you too. We are the pirate metal drinking crew. We don't give a fuck, we think you all suck. We are the pirate metal drinking crew. We think you're dumb and we hate you too. We are the pirate metal drinking crew.
I hope you guys caught that.
We don't give a fuck, we think you all suck. Fuck you!
So that is Ailstorm. The song is called The Pirate Metal Drinking Crew, and I would like to nominate that officially as the song of the Tundra Nation. Because as Ranger in his donation of $25 direct to the Patreon says, we are the Tundra Nation Drinking Crew. Your rifle sucks, and we hate you too. I think that is the embodiment of the Eric and Tyler roast. What this channel has become is just essentially telling people why their decision is terrible, and all doing it all while making those exact same decisions we're criticizing other people about, and being silly and nonsensical about it. So it looks like some people are saying that a lot of people are saying they are quite a large amount in favor of this. I've been getting a little bit ambitious lately with some thoughts of the channel. We'll discuss that here soon, but why don't I just at some point in time in the near future, I apologize about the train going by if you can hear that, why don't I just reach out to their agent and see if we can't get in touch with those guys. Hypo and I will write a parody of the song, like a 30-second bit, and see if they're willing to give us the blessing to record it and use it. So we'll have them record the song, like a little 30-seconder. Doesn't have to be anything like crazy or wild, but we'll write the bit, we'll submit it to them, and say, hey, if you guys want to help us out, be part of it. We love the song. We want it to be the official Tundra Nation song, and we take it from there. What do you guys think about that?
Alternatively to that, Tyler, what do you think about this? Say, fuck you, we're not going to do it. We say, okay, Creative Commons, we're going to do a cover of our own.
We could. I mean, absolutely.
I will orchestrate the whole thing. Easy enough. I'll program the drums, I'll play the guitar, and you and I can write the lyrics and sing it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, like we definitely can do it. But I do believe that that it would be the best for the channel to go the first route first to try to get them to endorse it.
I hope so.
But if they don't, then you're right. Creative Commons
yeah.
kicks in, and we can parody the song, no problem. I had an idea of where I was going to go next. Totally spaced that out.
Big ideas.
Big ideas.
Great.
Yes.
Ends.
Great expectation. Wait, no. We have no expectations. Yeah, we don't expect anything out of us on any night of the week here, especially Saturdays. Excuse me, whiskey belch, scotch belch, whatever. I'm drinking scotch tonight. Anywho, last night we got together. We had a little bit of conversation about the future of the channel, and I think that it is an appropriate topic to bring up now because we are now. Let's back it up real quick. For those who don't know, the idea for the Tundra Nation as a channel spawned itself out of this just depraved, whiskey-fueled evening at SHOT Show. It was one of the last nights of SHOT Show. And I really, I was so drunk that I can't remember which one of us actually came up with the idea. It might have been a collective thing, like somebody brought one thing up and then the idea kind of spiraled from one person to another.
Talk about the nation?
Yeah, like the first show, right?
I was sober because,
that's right. You were trying to
I remember
keep Bryce
the
from
whole
fighting
conversation.
people. So go ahead and just tell us the history of this decision and why it came to pass. I feel like Gandalf when I say that.
Yeah. You shall come to pass. we were all standing around one of the slot machines. I was smoking, and you were kind of waxing and waning on the poetic of the channel. And I had mentioned something to you about this is for the nation, and we'd mentioned the phrase before, Tundra Nation, many times before. But I said, we're doing this for the nation. What do we do better? And you go, oh fuck, I got it. Just like that.
And I just said,
we kill the show off.
That's literally how I came up with. I don't remember any of this. I was hammered. So I did the clap and the double guns. I did the clap and the double guns. And
yeah, you double guns. Yeah.
And I said we kill the show.
Kill the show off. We branded on a new channel. We give them everything on this side because, frankly, the content is not viewed the same way by YouTube that the other content is. We went into the analytics of it and all. And that's really where we started to discuss this and kind of break it down and go into the minutia of what the live stream is.
Yes. Let me interrupt for just a minute. Excuse me. We have a new Patreon, Mr. Braden Phillips, joining the $10 level on Patreon and very generously dropping $60 into the PayPal as a donation. So Braden, welcome to the Tundra Nation, buddy. We're happy to have you here, and thank you very much for the generous donation. You are a champion amongst men, women, and or gender neutral people because it is 2020. Continue on, Hypo.
First, I'd like to ask, I don't know him, and I'm glad he brought money because we don't accept new people.
He's lying.
We went into the fine minutia of what the nation means and what we can do back for them. I think that kind of ties into this great idea, this storyboard that you had presented to me last night.
Sure.
So real quick to Carnage, offline, I will play some In Flame songs for you.
No, you won't. You're doing it tonight.
I will do some In Flame songs for Carnage only.
You're doing it tonight.
I don't know Colony.
He said you would absolutely know it. I told him to pick a song that you absolutely would know. Damn it.
Yeah, no, Colony's not one of them.
Bummer.
I'll remember another one. We'll do it tonight though.
Hold on. I'm gonna make a request to continue on.
Okay, so we broke down what the channel means to the viewers, etc., blah blah blah. Great idea, storyboard. There was a flow chart in my head that was given to me about the evolution of the channel and what we were doing. So it started with Under Tactical and where you began, we moved into the videos and the cinematic approach to things that we were doing, and the ridiculous nature of the skits that you were doing, moved back into the talking head stuff.
Yep.
And came to the live streams, where that went on for about 6 months, close to a year, I want to say, year and a half. Before I joined,
there, yeah.
We started to evolve from there into what it is now.
What was your first episode?
The same one that Ellie came home.
Was it really?
64.
Jesus. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, it was a year, a little over a year. We had gone before we brought you on. And, you know, the main thing that I was trying to do is I was trying to make sure that the main channel of Tundra Tactical, you know, it wasn't running around like with a ball and chain. I have a secondary request. I want to see you play I Am Above by In Flames as well.
Okay, I only remember in a semi-drunken state, if only. And I don't remember the other names.
Looks like you're gonna have to do some learning, homie.
Fan.
That's what happens when you're a talented and creative artist, right? Right, Hypo?
Or burlesque guy.
Yeah, fair enough. We were talking about your ass crack earlier. Maybe there is a chance for the
There's a chance for OnlyFans. Yeah,
just
I'm
naked
open
guitar
dude.
playing by
I mean,
Hypo. That's all he's gonna do. Yeah. Oh, there's a nipple.
Demonetized if we.
Yeah, right. If we ever had a chance to begin with. Actually, we don't have to worry about that right now because we're not monetized to begin with.
Yeah, we could pretty much do whatever we want. I'll go grab all my guns.
I think you can still get banned for that.
If they're safe and we can prove they're safe, there's like a but we won't fuck with that.
We won't walk the line there.
No. Considering that last night I broke down an AK and this came flying out and I didn't realize it.
Yikes. So where I'm going with this is I was talking with Hypo. Like I really wanted him to bring him in because, you know, for those who don't know, I'm moving down to his town to go work at his casino here soon, and being the fact that we'll be in such close proximity, I wanted to make sure that he was kind of aware of my grand vision and direction for the channel. And I came to the realization that I don't believe I have ever explained like what I want this to actually become live on the air before, or if I have, the idea has evolved into something that I think is relatively cool. And with the birth of the idea of the Tundra Nation kind of in we'll say acute specificity. Look at those words, right?
And I am cute. Thank you. Specifically cute.
There you go. Pacifically cute, huh?
I will fucking end you.
He's got some zest to him. He's got some zest to him tonight. A little spicy, Hypo. I wanted to, you know, like one of the big things that we're trying to do is we're always trying to look for ways to evolve the idea of what we're trying to do here. Nothing is completely set other than, at this point, pretty much the idea of the Tundra Nation. And, you know, what does that mean? What does that look like, you know, 5, 6, 7 years, 10 years down the road? And given, you know, the opportunity for success here on YouTube and the demonstration of success that a lot of other gun tubers have had and what they've kind of parlayed that into, there's a lot of opportunity to kind of think a little bit bigger now than we were thinking in the past. So one of the things that we plan on doing that we've mentioned before is setting up an FFL for the channel. So, you know, the main reason is because the closest FFL outside of the one that we would set up is about an hour and a half away in Vegas. So if we get to the point where we're doing like firearms reviews or something like that, and somebody sends us something, we got to drive an hour and a half up and an hour and a half back before we can even get a hold of the piece of product. And then we have to do it again when we have to return it. So that's not terribly conducive to efficiency and you know, the motivation to get into those style of videos. So we decide, okay, we're gonna get a commercial space and we're going to set up an FFL there. Well, then the idea evolved into, well, why don't we combine the commercial space with the YouTube studio so that, you know, Ellie has her own room, I have an office here that we can do the live streams from, and then, you know, we have a bigger space to set up a nicer studio. I'm super happy with my studio now. I'm going to be really bummed to miss it or to lose it, but to have the opportunity to have like a full-on dedicated space, not just half of a room, would be fantastic. And so that really excited me. Well, then the idea evolved last night into something that I think is the ultimate evolution, at least at this point, for the Tundra Nation. I want to have the first gun shop that you can go to that's not just owned by a YouTuber or YouTubers, but you can go and watch YouTube videos get made in the same space. So you not only come into the shop, but you come into, to buy a gun. You come into the shop not only to buy a gun and meet the Tundra Tactical crew, right? But now you're part of the background crew in making a video. And the reason I want to do this is one of my goals is, something that was done for us very early on, courtesy of the Gun Collective, was a lot of, I got a fire lit inside of me when we got featured on GunTuber of the Week. And that was fantastic. Our channel at the time went from 200 subscribers to like 2,000 subscribers overnight. And that was like, whew, that was the event of events, pretty much in my life at that time. That was like, holy crap, we got noticed by somebody. Like that was, that's like your indie band signing their first contract, right? It's, looking back on things, not terribly important, but it was a huge moment at the time. And very, very exciting. Well, how do we give that back to people? Like, how do we inspire the next generation of gun tubers? As much as we like to hate on people and roast stuff, you should know by this time that it's all done in good fun and that we're not actually well, we are assholes, but we do it in a nice way. Like, if we're making fun of you, chances are we're paying attention to you because we like you, unless you're the Yankee Marshal or Nothing Fancy or a few other people. Then we just don't like you. But everybody has their own opinion, right? Like, how do we give that back? And what better way than without having a paywall, or without having, it's not a class, it's not something you have to sign up for or pay for. You just get to show up to a GunTuber studio that also happens to sell guns, and then you can come shoot with us out in the desert after the shoot's done. Like, how cool would that be? I don't know. Does that sound interesting to the Tundra Nation out there? All that dead air right there, huh?
I love it.
I was relying on you to pick up the slack, Hypo, and you let me down.
No, I'm responding to comments.
Oh, okay. But yeah, that's kind of the grand ambition and the grand plan. Like, we're here now. We made the first step. The second step right now is getting down to Nevada, or over to Nevada. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, the third step is actually creating that FFL. The fourth step is putting the studio inside of it. And the fifth step is kind of creating that destination. I almost am thinking, like, with the infrastructure that we have in place with the casino and the hotel and everything like that, like, why not make it almost like a destination? Like, almost like a place where somebody could consider as a vacation. Like, come hang out with the Tundra Tactical crew, go shoot guns out in the desert, go gamble at the casino, have a hotel room up there, and then, come watch us film a video. Where else do you get that type of experience?
What's really interesting, like, as you're saying, making it a destination, and this is like breaking fourth wall, I guess, or whatever it is, but more stream of conscious. But it's really kind of strange to me to think in terms of our current demographic is a much older crowd in terms of destination. It's to be honest, 75 to 85 typical demographic. If we could flip that and make the area a younger crowd like we have, that's fucking cool.
Well,
from the business perspective,
I can tell you that you are absolutely wrong on that. According to the analytics, about 80% of our viewership is coming from.
Oh no, I'm talking about the casino, my local location. Demographic.
Yeah, I see where you're going.
Yeah, so like the actual physical location, the Southern Nevada, Northern Arizona demographic of patrons is considerably older than the crew of people that watch our shit.
So let's bring in the fucking hellions, right?
So I'm thinking in terms of like how I can fund the rest of the stuff through the casino by bringing these hellions in.
we're gonna bleed them dry.
That's right. Bring your money.
Yeah.
Make sure you got your ATM pins.
Well, we do take tips. If you win big at the old blackjack table, or you pull a slot. But yeah, that is where I'm going with the ultimate idea as of right now. Now that this idea more than likely will evolve 2, 3, 4, 10, 15 times more as the Tundra Nation grows. But as we're sitting right now, I want to find a way to give that experience to somebody that's, you know, the next person that is looking to start a GunTube channel, regardless of if it's a serious channel, if it's a joke like we are, if it's something kind of living in between there. I want to give them a place where they can go to maybe not study, but just see what happens. You know, don't follow our example by any means. We're not professionals. We're amateurs who are really good at pretending we know what we're doing. That's pretty much the definition of us. Like, fake it till you make it is not a good enough phrase. We're just going to continue to fake it. I don't think we're ever going to make it. We're just going to continue to fake it.
And that kind of leads into what we were talking about in terms of like humility.
Yeah.
When it comes to channel growth, is just continue to be us, regardless of what happens. This shit's not going to change.
Well, and that's also the nice thing about having the Tundra Nation too, as a community, as opposed to just a group of fans put together. Like, they're going to be our check and balance. They're going to let us know when we're getting a little bit too big for our britches, like some people out there that we know and liked or used to like. Names will be left out of that last statement, but there are a few of them. And unfortunately, the case was, at least in my opinion, the head got a little bit too big for the shoulders, based off of the old subscriber count there, and they became different people. And we don't want that to happen to us. So outside of, you know, the moderators here in the Discord, myself and Hypo as a team, you know, we rely on you guys to maintain, you know, the integrity of the channel and our personalities too. We don't want the show to change. We love the way it is now. And as it evolves, I shouldn't say we don't want the show to change. It's going to change. It'll evolve. But we want the overall feeling of the show to maintain and stay the same. Right? So,
I agree.
We have a pretty damn cool announcement to make tonight. We have a pretty damn cool announcement in regards to what we were just talking about
I'm pregnant!
You're also sweating.
It's hot, dude. This is a fucking desert.
We have a pretty cool announcement to make in regards to the Tundra Nation as a community, and we're just talking about that, how one of our favorite parts about the idea of the Tundra Nation is it's becoming less and less about the two guys doing the live stream and more about getting, you know, growing this group of people and them associating with one another. And I think the ultimate what's the word I'm looking for? The ultimate expression of that is something that just happened today, courtesy of the Tundra Nation. I will preface this by saying that myself and Hypo had nothing to do. I don't think that you gave anything for this, right? No, I didn't either. But we kind of gave the thumbs up to it. We've had a longtime fan and one of our good buddies and moderators out there. You know, struggle to be a legal firearms owner for a long time, and fortunately, some of the restrictions that were imposed against him were removed, and so another good friend and moderator of the channel decided to put a thing together, a group of people together that were willing to donate either time, money, or parts to build him his first AR for free. Now, once again, I will say this is not something that we did. This is something that one of the fans did for another fan, and today that AR-15 was delivered, and congrats, Rebel, you got an AR, buddy. How does it feel, man? I'm super proud. I'm super proud of the fact that members of this community would think so far and away from, you know, a selfish perspective like that. Like, most people are like, you know, okay, like what can somebody else do for me, right? No, Pookie, you're a champ, dude, for captaining the idea, thinking from a very selfless perspective, and everybody who donated to that, you are the literal embodiment of what I want this community to be. When somebody's hard up, we help them out. When somebody's in a tough spot, you know, we lend a hand. You know, if there's a person out there like Rebel who, oh God, Google is talking to me. If there's somebody out there like Rebel who, you know, gets out of a tough spot and is able to finally, you know, legally purchase firearms again, then we take care of them. And that is just the coolest freaking thing. And I'm so proud to be kind of at the head of the table, watching everybody out there take care of each other, and such a grand gesture like that is mind-blowingly cool to be a part of. Even if I didn't give anything to this, but I will take a minor amount of credit, as long as Hypo will take a minor amount of credit for assembling the team that did it. And without provocation from us, this wasn't something that we asked for.
I think that's something we actively were like, you know what? As long as he makes sure that it's from the nation and not from
exactly not
Tundra.
from us. Yeah, this is from the community, not from Tyler and Hypo. As long as that message is conveyed, that was kind of our only condition. And God bless it, guys. You're freaking cool. Operator Tony, you are correct. Sheila was definitely 1.0, his rifle.
Yep.
But this was like a full from the ground up build that tons of people put together. Tony was another example of this. We put together a parts build for him. I do think Tony still had a little bit of skin in the game in relation to pieces purchased. Whereas I believe, if I'm correct, we built this entire rifle from scratch for Rebel, and he didn't have to pay a dime for it. Correct? So that's the kind of community that you guys are getting involved with here. Not everybody's getting free rifles. I'm not saying that. This is kind of extenuating circumstances for a special case and a special scenario, but it's freaking sweet.
It's just great to be able to share in like the celebrations that we can have as a community too.
It is. It's
like that's what this was essentially. Was just like, holy shit, you got your freedom back. You overcame the system where you made a mistake, and you got all of your freedom back. Amazing. And we can give to you.
I'm currently looking for the picture of it right now.
I think it's in Gun
I know. Yeah, I'm looking for. We have so many goddamn channels now. I'm struggling to find it.
Give it the time there, Boomer. Where's
there it is. All right.
I'm struggling now too.
So here we go. So this is the rifle that the Tundra Nation built. Our good friend and nation member, Mr. Rebel. So Rebel, thanks for all your hard work, man. I know, like I said, I didn't put any skin into this. I didn't build this for you. This was Pookie captained the idea. But on behalf of the nation, part of the reason why we wanted to do this is your hard work and your dedication to the channel and everything that you've done for us. Thanks, dude. You earned it. You really did. And welcome back to the land of the free, right? I know it's been a while since it actually happened, and it's kind of old news, but yeah, so that's what the nation does for the people actively involved and participating in. So if that isn't enough of a motivation for you guys to start becoming active members of this crew and nation and group of people, I don't know what is. Even if you just come in, hang out, play video games, chat with us every now and again, that's cool too. But we take care of our own, and not we meaning Pat and myself, meaning everybody else in the nation takes care of everybody else in the nation. So well done, guys. I'm proud of you. That's a super proud moment for us to kind of look at and watch you guys taking care of each other. That's outstanding. So this little toast goes out to Rebel and Pookie and all the others who helped get that project put together.
Product placement
is yours, guys.
Rebels.
Cheers. Man, son of a bitch. Bring us in.
Missed the opportunity, son.
Yeah. Bring us into to Ask Tundra Nation. Start the bit, and I will be right back.
Ooh, off camera. All right, guys. So let's get over here. It takes like 30 seconds to move over because I'm much more efficient than Tyler. But let's move into Ask Tundra Nation. You know what? Actually, Tyler, I'm going to hold off on this and pretend like I'm reading comments and typing in Discord and showing off Rebel's fantastic shirt. I can actually take this minute to pimp his brand without Tyler being around. For anybody who doesn't know, Rebels, aka Tactical Pineapple, has started a t-shirt company, clothing company, Boo Brand. I'm sure he'll be happy to share the link in the Discord. Do it, because I'm lazy. And these shirts are so soft, and I'm so sorry that I'm sweating the shit out of it. I apologize on behalf of myself and all the people that had to see that. But yeah. Bulls dropped the link. It's good shit. Go to it. Awkwardly waiting for Tyler to change his. There we go. The big igloo. God damn it, Tyler. I can't hear you. Muted? You talking?
Yep, so the Big Igloo 2020, right? Unfortunately, the lighting situation in my room right now is not the best. This is actually a gray shirt, not like a black shirt, but yeah, I agree. I was listening from the other room there. Everything that you said.
I feel like it's competition for our t-shirts.
What are you saying?
Saying that's competition for our shirts. What's
right.
up? What's up with that?
Whatever. It's, like I said, it's the Tundra Nation. These are cooler than our shirts, in my opinion. Yeah, I said it. Get to work. Get to work. We've got the design. We've got the design that'll eclipse this stuff. You're just dragging your feet. I'm just kidding. You're busy. All right, so we are. Yeah,
let's dive in, man. Tundra Nation.
Did you give?
People are actually here.
The intro, or should I do it again?
What's the intro?
Hold on.
That's Tundra Nation. Brought to you by nobody right now because
by nobody.
Airborne Arms doesn't really know who we are because it's a new channel.
Do. They're just shit. Hold on. Let's get everything back situated. I really do need a third monitor now. This is crazy. It's not popped out anymore. Why is it doing this? All right, whatever. We're just gonna go through.
Time to go into Tundra Nation, where you, the viewers, the members of the Discord, get to ask questions and we answer them live on air.
All right, I think that we're back to
sufficient.
Normal here. Yeah. So, welcome to Ask Tundra Nation, the segment of the show where you guys, the fans, get to get your questions answered live on the air. You got to do it with the flair, okay? It can't just be, welcome to the Tundra Nation. This is Ask Tundra Nation.
You know what?
I'm
number 15, Tundra Nation.
All right.
Have you ever had Burger King foot lettuce in your questions?
Good one. So yeah, like I said, if you guys want to participate, you do have to be a member of the Discord, so make sure to follow the link in the description below and join up. There's a specific channel for Ask Tundra Nation. If you're unfamiliar with what Discord is, when you pop in there, you create your username, just ask one of our moderators or ask somebody out there, even if they're not a moderator. Like I said, we put together a really good group of people, and they will absolutely help you get to the right spot to where you can get your question answered live on the air with myself and Mr. Patrolexia over here. Like that? That was a good little segue.
Patrolexia, that's better than Typolexia.
Yeah, no, I like Typolexia way better. In fact, that should probably be like your default shirt, like the shirt you wear to all events is just Typolexia.
Typolexia, spelt wrong.
Exactly, like what you did on the shirt.
Yep.
Anywho, the first one is coming from Merrick. We call him Grim in the Discord here. And this is actually not a question to me, but this is a question to our Discord moderators out there, which I thought was a very unique addition to Ask Tundra Nation. And I would like to pose this question, or he would like to pose this question through the voice to the moderators out there. He would like to know, at Community Relations to the staff team, what do you see in the community? I understand Tyler's his necessity for community participation and tribute, but what do you as staff see and expect from the community? Is it any more than what you would find in the rules? Now, I'm not going to speak for the moderators out there because I think each person kind of has their own interpretation of what the Tundra Nation is, with Hypo being a moderator and not the guy who started this whole thing. And don't you forget it. I'm just kidding. I'll have you kind of render your opinion to this question.
Sure.
But this might be my favorite question ever asked on Ask Tundra Nation, because it doesn't necessarily revolve around Tundra Tactical or me, or what I like, or what I'm interested in, or what you're interested in. It brings it down the chain of command to the people who are really kind of responsible for the integrity of our community, which is our community relations team, our mod team. And so if you're a moderator out there in Chatland, in Tundraland right now, please feel free to type out your answer and let the community and let the people of the nation know your answer to the question. I will read it one more time so that you guys have it fresh in your head. It says, at community relations, to the staff team, what do you see in the community? I understand Tyler's necessity for community participation and tribute, but what do you see and expect from the community? Is it anything more than what you would find in the rules? And I think that it is for most people. Hypo, your thoughts as I got to run off camera again to go take care of some Megan baby business. I'll be right back.
That's fine. That's all right. I'm going to take credit for everything. So I think being a moderator and being on the show kind of gives me a unique perspective. But I do think, Merrick, that we do expect a lot from our community. We expect people to not only just be cool to each other and to kind of emulate the good feelings that we have, but also to kind of promote 2A in a good light, to be able to show anybody, new gun owners, old gun owners, anybody who's joining the Discord, to promote this group as people that are supportive, that are caring, that are what essentially we talked about with Rebels, to share in the trials, tribulations, the celebrations, all of that with each other, and to try our very best to get along and listen and to have actual discord about what we're going through.
That was well. I like the.
You like that?
Yeah.
I think realistically, to sum it all up, honestly, it's a lot easier when I have another face to talk to. Tyler.
It really
I'm still
is.
getting used to that.
It's like having the co-host thing, like getting you on the show, has made this
so much
easier. Yeah. But
to sum it all up, I think what we expect is to be able to be adult enough, regardless of age, to have discussions, have differences of opinion, but be able to discuss it and talk about it, and to be able to share those experiences with each other, to listen to the other experiences, and to be able to accept that somebody has a different opinion on things without being an asshole and not being an asshole.
Yep. I think that Mario sums it up nicely and says, be excellent to one another, or be excellent to each other. Nice little reference there. If you get that reference, we can be friends. We definitely can be friends. And well done, Mario. That was
we will be lone stallions together.
Yes.
Lone Rangers.
No, that would be Airheads.
Wild Stallions.
Lone
Rangers.
Yep, Lone Rangers.
2 movies.
No, it's the Lone. Yeah, the Lone Rangers is Airheads, and the Wild Stallions. Bill and Ted.
Is being excellent to each other.
So well done with the reference there. That earns yourself a little toast and a cheer there. The Secretary of the Department of Agriculture, Mr. Secretary, thank you for tuning in, would like to know...
What department handles that, by the way? The agriculture.
So this would be Carnage. He would like to know, I'm looking to buy a new EDC, but I haven't...
that's Semper.
Enough. Thank you, Semper, not Carnage. Appreciate that.
Semper.
For some reason, I'm getting those two mixed up recently because I think that they have similar profile pictures, and they, for whatever reason, when I'm drunk, they sound the same, like the same person to me.
One panics on Tarkov, the other does not play Tarkov.
There you go. Two very different things. One panics. That's an inside joke. Yeah. He says, I'm looking to buy a new EDC, but I have enough heavily modified Glock perfection in the safe. What would you recommend, preferably European? Well, okay. So the obvious answer here is something from CZ, but the CZ options that are good EDCs, save for like 1 or 2, aren't actually European. They're made in America, like the P10C and the P07s. Your traditional like 75s and stuff like that are definitely made in the factory over there.
Is Turkey in Europe?
Technically, it's the bridge. Yeah. Well, no, is it? I think technically it would be considered Eurasia or well, I don't know.
How about Croatia?
Okay, get the fuck out. Okay, we don't talk about that here. I'm sure there are plenty of cool people in Croatia, but HS product is not not a good thing for the gun owners in America. For those you don't
Realistically, though,
HS product is
the whole
ones who make
Turkey thing,
XDs.
though, you know where I was going with that.
With Canik, yes. So that I think would definitely classify. And that's I didn't think of that initially, so that's good. But where I was going with it is I believe that the CZ75 Rami is, or Rami, however you want to pronounce it, is still made in the Czech Republic. I don't believe that that is a CZ USA product. I could be wrong, but because it's a variant of the CZ75, I believe that it is made over there. And the Rami, or Rami, however you want to pronounce it, I do believe is a very underrated compact to subcompact carry gun, being that it's a double single. Again, I haven't shot one in a long time. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a double single. Yeah, it is. And
It is, yeah.
they're very comfortable shooters. They've got a good bit of weight to them. They're kind of like more potent and powerful PPK S's. Where the PPK is that, the James Bond gun, the little 380, but it's got some heft to it, right? And it's a damn good looking gun. Actually,
some stopping power.
Yes, power.
Power.
I might get hung out to dry for this, but I would honestly consider the PPK-S actually a relatively decent little subcompact carry option. Like if you're looking for a pocket gun or like a little dinner jacket gun, something to wear with a suit, or something a little bit nicer. Still having a low
You
profile.
still have the brush.
I do, yeah.
Jeez.
I've been when I've been off camera, I've been doing this.
Carry on.
I'm getting that sweet, screw the beard oil. I got hops all over this thing in CLP. That's how maybe that's what we do is yeah, we do the beard care, and instead of using like beard oil, it's hops and CLP that we're brushing into the
CLP
beard.
smells amazing.
So I think you mean hops. CLP doesn't really smell like anything other than oil.
What about emergency lube after it's been sitting in the sun for about a year?
Yeah, you know what? That's on you, buddy.
It's bad. It's not good. Anyway, so CZ 75 choice.
So I think like for a little bit more practical 9mm caliber carry option, something to consider would be something like the Rami or the Rami. And then maybe something a little bit more out there would be something like the Walther PPK-S, because I do believe that that's still made over in Germany. I don't believe, once again, that is a Walther USA product. I do believe that is imported via whomever Walther uses to import, possibly their US-based firm or company. Now that I think about it, maybe it is American made. I'll have to look when I get back to work, because I know we have a couple.
I think so, though.
Quick question: does anybody know how to tell if a gun is imported or not? If it's
Weird
made in the
scribbling
USA?
on the inside.
Not necessarily. It's just so there's a difference between manufacturers, importers, and brands in terms of the ATF requirements for their proper representation in a certain FFL's bound book. Bound book is what FFLs use to track the acquisition and disposition of firearms. And so whenever you acquire a gun, a good electronic bound book will have, a ton of brands, a ton of manufacturers, a ton of importers already listed in, and you just, you select the right ones, type in the serial numbers, type in the models, acquire it, and now that is your firearm, according to the ATF. But part of the importation laws dictate that if it's an imported gun, it'll say H&K, made in Germany, yada yada yada, right? And then it will have a sub-stamp somewhere on the receiver of the firearm that will say imported by or just a U.S. city and state. And so whatever, if it just says a U.S. city and state, then it's usually just made in America. But if it says imported by or made in blank and then has that U.S. city and state, that's how you know where your firearm is made, for those who didn't know. Might seem obvious, but nice little thing. And this is the perfect example of this is the old XD argument. The people that come into Cabela's all the time is, I'm gonna get that good old American-made Springfield XD, right? Like, yeah. What
made in Croatia?
Can you tell me what state Croatia is in?
Wisconsin.
Yeah, right. So anywho, that's just a little cool bit of information for you if you didn't already know. And then you were going to say Canik, and I'll let you speak a little bit to that.
Yeah, but you mentioned the Walther, which is essentially probably a higher class Canik. Essentially, it's better. I hate to say that Walther is much better in a lot of refinery. In a lot of ways, I think so.
Okay, the
PPQ, the Q5.
Sure, but I'll actually argue that pretty vehemently and say that for those who don't know, little drop of knowledge there for you. The TP9 is actually a Walther PPQ. It really is in pretty much every way, shape, or form.
Is.
It's a rebranded Walther PPQ built on Walther tooling with Walther's license. Just rebranded.
If you don't believe us, go to Coda Boy's channel and type in Coda Boy 32 PPQ EP9 SFQ whatever, where he swaps slides, he swaps the magazines, he everything, all the pieces between the PPQ and the TP9 series, they all match up.
Yep. So where I will agree with you, because of that, there's two areas that I think Walther will do better in certain situations. Now, we also have to say that the EAA Witness is another good option. I wouldn't necessarily consider it a carry option, but it's another good European option, kind of like an interesting, like almost like discount CZ. But where I'll agree with you in terms of quality control in favor of Walther over Canik is, and once again, we have to acknowledge that Walther is the company that made the CCP, which is arguably one of the worst friggin' guns ever created. Not only is it uncomfortable, not only is it ugly, not only is it a single stack monstrosity that is way too big for what it needs to be. One of my old bosses said to me one time that back in World War II, one of the only times that Walther wasn't producing firearms was in World War II when they bombed when the U.S. 8th Air Force essentially bombed the factory. This firearms release would necessitate sending the 8th Air Force back up into the sky to bomb them again. Like, that's how much we dislike this gun. So that being said, the biggest difference I think in quality and control in favor of the Q5 versus the Canics, or like the PPQ versus the Canics, would be magazine reliability. I have seen and experienced on a couple of occasions while shooting Canic magazine guns, if they get dirt, if they get some obstruction. You might not have, and I know you run them harder than I have.
Though.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about right now. Yeah.
They have a tendency to fail. Now, with all of the part interchangeability, I wonder if that translates over into magazines as well. Because if you're using, go ahead. It doesn't.
It doesn't. No. Running a PPQ mag out of a Canik TP9, you do not experience the same issues. And I think it comes down to the Century Arms method of manufacturing the follower.
Sure.
And the quality control, because I've kind of overcome that by disassembling and filing the edges of the follower, getting the burrs off. Because what happens is you wind up with any amount of like minuscule dirt coming up between the follower and the actual magazine wall, and it gets gritty. That's the only way to put it. It just gets gritty and ugly. The springs are not as good. But switching out to a PPQ mag, it's fine.
Canadian AR-15 guy brings up a great point, in regards to Turkey. He says, but almost every shotgun is made in Turkey. And then I followed up with, or Japan, because Moroku, Browning, if you don't know, most Browning shotguns are not U.S.-made shotguns. They're made in Japan and imported by Browning Arms Corporation, BAC, or BACO. But he also brings up the CZ shotguns. are made by literally my favorite gun company's name in the entire world. That completely references a joke to the shirt that I'm wearing. Hoogaloo? Hoogaloo and the Boogaloo. That's what you're going to be carrying. You're going to be carrying your Hoogaloo and the Boogaloo. So.
Hey, whoa. Big news here. Tactical Pineapple just said that me and Pookie learned today that Kennick mags are interchangeable with Taurus G2C. Does Mark Fit and Fire know this?
Yeah, we gotta put a flash bit of traffic out to him so he can do a video on the top 3
Kennick
reasons
mags.
Why he loves and hates them. And then just get hate for it eternally. Let's move on to our next question here, because I think we covered enough of that. Flying Wolf, good old buddy Wolfie Boy, wants to know the official furry ambassador for the nation. He'll hate the fact that I said that if he ever watches this.
He's gonna kill you.
We love them all. We love all groups here. And he is the official furry ambassador. But he would like to know, what brand would you get if you were to purchase a revolver? So I'm gonna just take this opportunity to absolutely shit on N7X Ranger right now and just say, not a Chiappa Rhino. What brand would I go for? I can. This is actually a question that I am relatively well prepared to answer, and I can tell you right now that it would be a combination of the same brand and 2 different guns. I cannot.
Carter Arms.
I cannot make the decision on which one I like more between the Ruger GP100 and the Ruger SP101. Historically speaking, I have not had a terribly high opinion of Ruger and their firearms, especially their handguns. Some of the Ruger ARs and the RPRs I can actually really get behind and really like, but with a lot of what Ruger has put out recently in terms of firearms, they're kind of taking the Taurus route, in my opinion, and going for that like ultra low budget, what kind of corners can I cut, type of mentality. And shame on you, Ruger. But with their revolvers, they've maintained a really good level of integrity, and just with Smith & Wesson's name and their just the monstrosity that they are in terms of like name and power and stuff like that in the industry, the GP100s and the SP101s are quite often overlooked. And one of the reasons why I like them, it kind of boils down to the same reason I got the AKV, is I didn't really care with the AKV if it worked or if it didn't work, and coincidentally enough, mine does not work. But I still don't feel bad about that purchase, because the damn thing looks so freaking cool, and it's it's a relatively unique style of gun that I'm still happy with it. It's unfortunate that I can't shoot it right now. At some point in time, it'll get fixed in the near future, but hey, it's another story. It's the same thing with the GP100s and the SP101s. There is something about those guns that I just classify as like meaty or beefy, like just they feel like tanks. They feel good, not overly built, not heavy, not outside of the realm of like moderate, They're not like too far one way or too far the other way. They're that perfect balance of good-looking guns and what at least my perception is to be of good build quality. I will be very honest. I've only shot a GP100 twice, and that was very, small amounts of ammunition, so I don't really have an opinion to render on their quality. But man, do those guns look good. They feel good. The cylinder rotation to me and the mechanical action of the trigger and the hammer and how those things all interface together, you can literally feel the smooth nature of all of those pieces working, in part with one another. And that's what you'll find in a good revolver. Some of the higher end Smiths, a lot of the Colts, the older school Colts out there, you'll have that feeling of all of that mechanical interaction through, from your finger to the trigger. You'll be able to feel that, and it's a very pleasing thing. It's a very pleasing experience, I guess. I don't see that a lot with some of the kind of mid-budget modern Smiths. When you get into more of the performance center stuff, when you get into more of the classic, the 686s and things like that, you definitely get it. And I'm not saying that Smith is better or worse, or Ruger is better or worse. just the personal opinion for me, I think, would be a Ruger GP100 or a Ruger SP101. If you had to answer that question, Hypo, you would go with what?
I don't know much about revolvers.
Nor do I. Just don't say Chiappa Rhino, because then you're a space nerd.
No. I've shit on him for long enough. I'm not going to switch gears.
I just noticed he just says, damn it.
Damn it.
So
I really don't know much about him. Something I need to actually learn more about.
You know, I'll say, nah. You don't really, unless you actually want to. I mean, let's
kind of do.
Let's be honest, guys. Like, revolvers don't really have a place in modern firearms society unless you want them for specific reasons. They're not great options for defensive guns. They're not the best option for ladies out there, contrary to what a lot of people will tell you. The only practical application that I can think of would be a higher caliber revolver for a trail gun or something like that, wildlife defense, or hunting, hunting revolvers. But for the most part, I really do think that revolvers are just, their time has come and gone. They're nostalgic for absolute certain. They're good looking pieces of equipment when they're done right. And there is something to be said for that. But in terms of practical application, I don't think that they're great options. Ranger, yeah, I get what you're saying, but no, also. And we can discuss that at a later point in time. Yeah. Let's go into Wolf's second question here, and he would like to know, and Hypo, I'll let you start off with this one. What kind of ear protection would you use for shooting?
That's really a good question, and I think it also is a very personal decision because you're looking at application. So personally, I use electronic noise cancellation ear pro when I'm on the range, but I also like to carry Surefire, regular plug with the open end.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the model number, and
yeah,
I'll find it and link it. They're great. Realistically, though, I would say if for everyday application, if you go in the range, any type of electronic cancellation ear pro is great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
What do you use, Tyler?
So, to give the specific brand, I'm with a majority of the shooters out there. The $40 that you spend on those Howard Light electronic cancellation, noise cancellation headphones is some of the best investment that you can have for your kit. There's a reason why you literally see everybody wearing those. They're good. They are completely serviceable. They're very low profile. A couple of considerations that I would say to make when choosing a set of hearing protection is what type of firearm do you plan on shooting the most? A big mistake that we would see about 10 years ago, before the popularity of those lower profile electronic ear pros kind of started becoming the mainstay or the big popular thing, was you'd go out with those old the big ear defenders, right? And man, try shooting an AR with those, or try shooting a high caliber rifle with those and not having to readjust those that ear pro every couple of shots. It's relatively difficult. Now if you're shooting handguns only, same could be said for like shotguns or slug guns or things like that. But if you're shooting handguns only, that's not a problem. So shooting handguns affords you the maximum amount of flexibility for your ear pro selection. Shooting rifles, you'll want to be a little bit more specific, and a lot of this will apply to people that are going to rent guns at a range, because most ranges will not have invested in the lower profile ear pro. It'll be the big bulky ear defender style things. They don't go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I just had to look it up. I use Walker razors.
Another great option. Yeah, the Walker brand is another great option. There's something to be said for some of the higher end stuff too. If you're really invested into shooting, so relatively soon, I'm crossing my fingers. We will be getting. Should I? Did I?
You're gonna talk about your shit that's gonna wind up stuck on another thing that's gonna cover your other thing?
Yeah, hold on. Should I talk about that or should I leave it be?
Episode 2.
Okay, episode 2. So we've got some interesting developments in terms of product, hopefully coming into the channel. But if you're really invested into the shooting sport, or you have a specific requirement for a bug out kit or something like that, arguably the best option out there. There's two kind of really, really good options for the high dollar stuff, and that would be the Peltor Comtax or the Sorden series of hearing protection. Both are very good. I know people who have both of them, and both of them prefer the Comtax. Mostly because the helmet mounting for the Sordens, according to Oleg, is hell. Like, it's really difficult and not terribly user-friendly, we'll call it, where the Comtax is the 100% opposite. Because of their popularity, there's a much greater amount of mounting options out there. So if you're very, very invested into it, or you're running, like a push-to-talk or something like that, then the Peltor Comtax, they're going to set you back about $600. They're not cheap. They are not cheap. But they'll
work with the radios.
Yep.
They'll work with.
But they'll not only work with your radios, but the audio drivers inside of them, the sound cancellation, the reaction to everything, the battery life. There is a reason for that premium. There is certainly a diminishing return. There is certainly a diminishing return. They are not, $240 more better, more performing than the Walkers or the Howard Lights. There's no justification for your average person to have to buy that. But if you want it just for building a kit out of a hobby, or if you have a serious need for them, or if it's something for a bug out, or you're working specifically with radios, then absolutely, if you go up to that next level between the major options out there, I would say that I would definitely recommend the number one choice be the Peltor Comtax. So let's move on to our next question. This comes not from Wolf, but from Mr. Freedom. Freedom, I love you, bud. We're gonna kind of dunk on you a little bit, though.
Also, before we do that, Oregon's great. Carry on.
Okay. Freedom would like to know why the AR-10 and SVD or PSL variants are the most practical civilian rifles for an all-arounder gun, from a farm to a farm truck to a battlefield, even though there are better guns like ARs and AKs for CQB. So I made the joke that we're going to dunk on you. We're not really going to dunk on you. We're just going to give our opinion on this. I will start off by saying the rifles that you listed are 100% flexible to those situations. 100% useful and flexible to those situations. With that being said, the AR platform, or the 5.56 and 5.45 platforms, generally speaking, for a wide variety of situations, are still going to be the better options. The perception that the moderate to full caliber round, we'll just call it the full caliber round with like a 7.62 by 51 or 7.62 by 54R caliber round, the impression that it is a, put in the right platform, it can be the most flexible thing, is a little bit like what we were talking about on our episode relating to stopping power, where just because it's bigger doesn't necessarily mean it's better or more flexible. There is a point where, with like a 45 ACP, where you can make it go so fast, but it will eventually, like if you lighten the bullet enough or put enough powder in it, if you lighten the bullet enough, it disintegrates in the barrel. And if you put enough powder in it, your gun explodes. Chamber pressure is a real thing. So I've always thought, and I think that a lot of people also will think, that the moderate to sub-moderate calibers, like your 9mm or your AR, caliber, 5.56s and 5.45s, have a lot more headroom and flexibility in terms of being practical. Here's the reason why. You specifically referenced from a farm truck to a battlefield. So my guess is that you're talking about, because you also referenced there are better options like the AR and AK for CQB. So you're not really considering the AR-10 to be a CQB weapon, which, good for you. I completely agree. I think that it is not. But in terms of flexibility over moderate distance, I would argue that your standard 5.56 being usable, maybe not perfect, but very serviceable out to about 400 yards, is going to be fantastic for most of what you're looking for a caliber like that to do. In favor of the AR-10 specifically, I would argue a little bit more about the SVD and PSL variants being practical, because they can be very accurate rifles, given that they are in very good condition. But I'm just going to focus specifically on the AR-10 versus the AR-15 or the AK-74 or the AK-47 here. The AR-10 does have a significant advantage in terms of, being able to stretch its legs over a longer distance. Given the proper barrel length, given the proper twist rate, given the proper ammunition, they're 1,000-yard guns. They absolutely are. But that's where their strength ends. In terms of, I would say maybe their most powerful strength. Another major advantage that the AR-10 platform would have is the ability to punch through barrier a little bit easier. A 55 grain bullet against a brick wall doesn't do much to the other side of that brick wall, where a 7.62 by 51 absolutely would. So if we're talking about flexibility from the farmyard to the battlefield specifically, yeah, there are a couple of major advantages, but there's such a proven track record from farmland to actual battlefields to speak to the AR-15 being the better option. What is the standard issue cartridge for the military and most of NATO? If not actually all of NATO, it's the 5.56 round. And there's a reason for that. There's a lot of haters out there. There's a lot of people that believe it's underpowered or doesn't do this well or doesn't do that well. Okay, everybody has their gripes and complaints, but in reality, no. The 5.56 caliber round or the 5.45, those moderate caliber rounds that have a ton of velocity, have a couple of major bonuses going for them. And inside of those first few to quad 100 yards, because of their velocity, they're very stable, they're very accurate. They don't have a lot of ballistic effect, or the effects of outside things on the ballistics is minimal usually. Where because of like a 7.62 by 51 or a 308, they've got a lot more mass to the bullet, but a lot more physical drop to the round because of a lack of velocity. They do hit a little bit harder. They do travel a little bit farther, but I think just in terms of maximum flexibility, you can't not say that the AR-15 with a 5.56 or 223 or a 5.45 and an AK-74 would be the better overall choice for maximum flexibility. The AR-10 will have that, maximum specificity, that perfectly calibrated gun, or that, very accurate gun, that very, that barrier puncher. If you're using some AP rounds, some penetrator rounds, you'll definitely have more flexibility in those specific categories. But outside of that, I really don't think that the AR-10 is a more flexible caliber or cartridge or round or gun. Go ahead, Hypo. Your thoughts.
Again, God damn it, Tyler. You keep filling in all of the thoughts that I had.
It's because I just keep talking too much. I'm sorry.
No, but we're too much on the same wavelength when it comes to certain things. I agree. I think that the AR-10 is extraordinarily good. I think that 308, 7.62 by 51R, 54R.
54R, yeah.
54R is fantastic, but I think that the 5.56 223 is
if we're talking just about flexibility,
is more flexible.
Yep.
It's velocity, the grain weight, it's just good.
It is. It really is.
It's not just okay, but it's good.
The thing that we were talking about is having that headroom for, more stuff. And I think that those subcaliber rounds, not subcaliber, excuse me, the smaller caliber rounds do have a little bit more headroom for more performance if you want to push them a little bit farther, where especially in the AR platforms or the repeating rifle platforms, maybe with bolt actions this doesn't apply as much, but in the repeating rifle platforms, you have a lot less headroom to push those larger caliber rounds faster and farther to make them more flexible or make them, less, more hard hitting, less hard hitting, depending on the situation. I would absolutely not want to be taking an AR-10 into a situation where I'm inside of 200 yards from somebody. Maybe not absolutely not. That's a bit of a bold statement, but it wouldn't be my first choice. Just because generally speaking, the gun's going to be heavier. The rounds are going to be heavier. I carry a lot less of them, 10 rounds per magazine across 6 magazines. That's a lot of rounds. That's 2 full mags of AR-15 ammo that I don't have on me. And I think that almost kind of boils down into the 9 versus 45 conversation that we were having a little bit earlier today. But moving on to the next question, unless you have anything else you want to wrap that up with.
Oh, no.
All right. Moving on to the
Good.
next question, I'll let you take this one, Hypo, is Mario Mechanic Molina would like to know, how have you experienced a situation in your own community? Or, oh, excuse me, no, this is specific to me.
Now, this is to you.
Yep,
Yeah.
sorry. So he wants to know, now that you've experienced a situation in your own community, what is the first thing you and your family will do if it happens again? Happy that you and your family are doing well. Thank you very much, Mario, for saying that. I also am happy that me and my family are doing well. If you guys have been living under a rock, you may not know that Minneapolis had a bit of a challenging weekend last weekend, which is why the stream was delayed. Obviously, the George Floyd stuff happened, Officer Chauvin stuff happened, and then riots ensued. And I think earlier in the week I posted a picture in Discord that had tracked the riots throughout Friday, and they were very close to our house, within about a dozen miles. Actually, not even that. Within about 10 miles of our house, that there were fires and rioters and protesters. It was a. I'm not going to go into the politics of the situation. I'm not going to go into the my stance on it here. I will say that if you are interested in learning about my stance on the issue and politics, please go over to Mr. Fit and Fire's channel and watch his most recent Keep Calm and Carry featuring me, where I talk at length for about an hour and 40 minutes about the subject and all of the situations involved in it. You might be surprised at some of the things that I say. I think I have, in relation to this, some relatively maybe controversial I just have some interesting opinions that most 2A'ers out there I don't think share with me, and I hope that I articulate it in a good way, but that's beside the point. What would I do differently? One of the things that I talked about in Mark's stream that I'm willing to go into is how much I wasn't prepared. We as a firearms community, we as a group of people, we value things like security. We value things like situational awareness, or at least I hope that we do. We value things like preparedness, being prepared for any number of situations. And I thought that I valued those things. Well, it turns out that I didn't, because I absolutely neglected to keep my go bag in a good condition. Being that I'm a YouTuber, a gun tuber, at certain points in time, I had taken things out of that bag to use in a skit or to put on a kit that existed in a different place, and they never got replaced, right? When we had Ellie, we didn't build a baby kit. And all of these little things, they just snuck up on me. And it took us 3 hours from the time where I decided, okay, this is a real problem. Like, this is something that's serious and should be taken seriously, and we got to have a plan. We might have to get out of here, because these riots, they're inching ever closer to us. Mile by mile, fire by fire, looting after looting. Very fortunately for us, just to set the record straight, it never reached us. It was completely quiet up here. There were a couple of nights, as you well know, Pat, that I was very worried. Yeah. And essentially, every 30 minutes going outside, walking the perimeter of the property, just listening and making sure that I don't hear anything. But very fortunately for us, it never got here. Now, that's not to be said that it's all said and done with here, being that it's kind of the epicenter to this whole greater national issue. But at least for the time being, and tonight, that's why I have the window open right now, is if I hear sirens or, something like that, I want to be able to actually hear it. Being prepared is the thing that I would change. Having that 24-hour bag, having that get out of the house bag, that go bag, whatever you want to call it, I don't care what it is. I don't care, if you need a 72-hour bag, a 24-hour bag, a 48-hour bag. Have one for you, and then don't forget about the rest of your family. That's what I did. Is I had kind of a good bag built up. Like, I had the IFAC. I had I had food and water. Well, I didn't have water because I don't store water in my bag for a long period of time. But I, the food. I had this, that, and the other. But I didn't think of things like extra socks. I didn't think of things like Advil. I didn't think of things like diapers. And I didn't consider the bug out crew as a unit. I considered me bugging out, not having the ability of Megan to assist with that. So we had to panic slap together, 24-hour bag for Megan, and we had to panic slap together a 24-hour bag for the baby. Because at least in this particular situation in Minneapolis, I wasn't considering like a permanent bug out. I was thinking, okay, one day to get to where I'm going. I need 24 hours of stuff to get to where I'm going, where there'll be more stuff to keep us alive and safe. So in my bag currently, I've got my 2 IFACs. So I've got a outside IFAC, and then I have an inside kind of more MFAC, like more just medical kit. I have a 2-year-old Polish MRE sitting in there that I got from my buddies over at Hussar Ltd. In Poland as a gift. And various other things. Extra boxed ammunition. I have 2 extra magazines hanging on the back side of my backpack that I'm not carrying on my body, because I'm currently not running a plate carrier, so I only carry 4 magazines on my belt and 1 in the gun, which is still, that's going to be, for me, in my opinion, that's going to be enough to get me out of most sticky situations. But I had to kind of slap that all together because I just neglected it. I had taken bits and pieces off and never put them back on, and when I needed them, I had to reassemble the kit, and that that really took a lot longer than it should. The advice that I will give for people out there that haven't been in this type of situation is, regardless of how prepared you are, I would say plan to spend before you, like, unless it's imminent, like unless it's like the shit is at my door and I gotta GTFO. Plan on spending about an hour per member of your family getting everything ready to go. We were moving really fast, and I got to give credit to Mama Mego over in the other room. When she saw my kind of disposition and my emotion, the person that I am normally, when she saw that change, she doesn't see it often, but she knows when to recognize it. When I go, I always talk about myself being kind of a light switch. I have two modes. One is, go time, not nice Tyler, and the other is just the normal, goofball me. When she saw that switch get flipped, she did the same thing. And there's not a lot of ladies out there that I'd feel confident enough to trust my life with. She is one of them. And she proved that this weekend. We were doing drills left, right, and center, coming up with things like duress words, sign countersigns, just in case we get separated. That's another good point, actually. If you guys have a family, or if you have a bug out crew, how many of you guys have considered a sign countersign as part of your bug out kit? It's not a physical part of your kit, but what happens if you get separated? How do you identify friend from foe?
Giraffe butthole is now a
Giraffe
part
butthole
of my life.
is exactly. That's I didn't think that was appropriate for myself and Megan, but yeah, giraffe butthole is the official sign countersign. Remember OPSEC, ladies and gentlemen, keep that inside of the Tundra Nation. Don't let that get out. But if I'm ever out in the field and I yell giraffe and one of you motherfuckers yells butthole, I'm gonna know that you're a friendly, and I'm gonna come around that corner and give you a high fucking five. But on top of that, on top of the sign countersign, how many of you guys have considered a duress word? And if you're unfamiliar with what a duress word, it's a commonly used phrase or saying that lets the person that is giving the sign. Okay, let's back up. A sign countersign is something that military, law enforcement, or other security agencies use to identify friendly forces. The classic example of this is the Saving Private Ryan Thunder Flash. That is called a sign and countersign. That is how you identify without visually having to peek your head around the corner and expose yourself to danger. That is how you audibly identify a friendly unit. Now, there are certain situations where that friendly person might be under duress, might be in trouble, might not be able to confidently give you that countersign without exposing you to danger, right? So that is where a duress word comes in. A duress essentially means you're under duress. You're under you're in a bad spot, we'll call it. What's up, Scott? Thanks for joining, buddy. And so having those duress words are incredibly important, because now Megan can respond, or whomever can respond to me with that duress word, not immediately telling the person that they're giving the signal that they're telling me something's wrong, but essentially doing exactly that. So think, if I were to say, like, what would I do differently? I would think a little bit harder, and my advice to you guys would be think a little bit harder outside of just the bug out kit, outside of just the plan, and think a little bit deeper into the minutia of, I'll use the term small unit tactics, but it's not really applicable, I guess, because chances are you're not going to be running with, a group of 6 or 7 operators, right, that are all spun up on the same type of training and, background and that thing. But just think of things like that. Think of things like, do I have a sign countersign? Does my wife, significant other, kid, family members, parents, do they understand that? Do they understand the importance of it? Have they been drilled on it as of late? And with how things are spreading across the nation, I would urge you to do that now. If you got to stop watching the show because it's that important, go ahead. Like, I ain't gonna hate you for that. Like, keep your people safe. What I would love to see is people, go home tonight and check their kits. Make sure everything in their kit is spun up and ready to go for, 24 hours, for 48 hours, for 72 hours, whatever they need it to be. Make sure you inventory your equipment. Maybe you have to repack your equipment so the important stuff is on top, so that you don't have to dig through your bag to find that one piece of, vital, important gear that is not immediately on your chest rig or on your battle belt or something like that. Maybe you got to completely repack and reprioritize your kit and your gear. That's another thing to consider. So there's a lot of things that I found throughout the situation that I just wasn't doing because of either sheer laziness, complacency, or one of the other, any number of options. And that was a big reality check for me to put a serious note onto the goofy nature of this chat. Is, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, if something kicks off in Plymouth in the next 3 hours, we're not going to be able to effectively be able to respond in the best possible way because I got sloppy. And that's something that I actually really hold against myself, and I've been kicking myself in the ass over the last couple of days and felt really shitty about, is, in my opinion, I let my family down by not being ready to go at a moment's notice. Or maybe not even at a moment's notice, but just in a reasonable amount of time. We spent 3 hours getting prepped and ready to go, and because of an awesome wife who was completely on point and on game, we were able to accomplish all of that, three full bags, 3 full, pieces of kit and gear for 3 people for 24 hours in 3 hours. That might sound like a pretty long time to put a 24-hour bag together, but it really isn't when you're consciously thinking about what you need, when you're packing it in a specific way to prioritize items towards the top. It's not. And couple that with stress.
Oh yeah,
it's
sure.
really not. And I have to give a lot of the respect to our ability to effectively get through that situation to my wife, because she was so cool under pressure. She was so damn cool under pressure. Every drill we put together, she understood. She learned and she remembered over the course. Like, I'd be drilling her like 2 days later, Megan, sign, countersign, give me the duress word, and she just fire it off. There was no delays. There was no nothing. She heard it once. She remembered it because she knew it was important. We did a drill. We had this 5-minute alert thing saying, can we get Lexi, can we get the baby, and can we get all the gear in the car in 5 minutes and be on the road? And we drill it. And so I'm getting the weapons and armor, well, not armor, but weapons and gear ready to go. She's taking care of the baby and the dog, and I'll be damned if we didn't do it, mostly because of her hard work. And like, number one, I knew I married the right girl as soon as I saw her flip that switch with me and go into game time mode. And number two, just watching her progress through that in a cool, calm, and efficient manner, never losing her shit. Like, she was scared. She definitely was scared. Like, it got to the point where it wasn't like, Tyler, stop being an idiot. Nothing's gonna happen. No, it wasn't that. It was, oh shit. Like, this is real. Right? And so that's the mode she went into right along with me. And, you know, props to her. Like, my love and my respect for her went through the freaking roof that day, because I know I've got the perfect partner for this. I know that I have the perfect partner from this point forward. So check your kit. Check your people. Update what needs to be updating based on your own family situation. Did you have a kid? Did you have a family change? Is somebody new living with you? Did somebody move out? Did you have a roommate that you have or that you didn't have last year? Did you lose a roommate that you didn't have, or did those roommate situations change? Do you guys have a plan? Do you have a backup plan? Do you have a tertiary plan? Do all those plans revolve around going in different directions just in case they do like what they did up here and shut down the major interstates so that your main routes of egress are now not accessible? If I were to change one thing, I would have sat down at an earlier date and planned a little bit more, as opposed to just relying on my ability to react. And that's where I feel like I let my family down, is I was reacting as opposed to reacting as opposed to acting. Yeah, exactly. So to put a bit of a serious note on that, yeah, that's exactly what I would do. I appreciate the sentiment, and thanks for wishing the family well here, Mario. It does seem to be pretty cool.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good.
Sorry. I was going to say to add to that too, if for those guys that are running chest rigs, plate carriers, whatever, do not ignore the rear of that, because that is valuable real estate. The entire rear of my kit is dedicated to the person behind me.
There you go.
Easy access to magazines, to admin pouches, whatever. That section, if she's behind me, because I'm taking the lead on that, that is going to be accessible to her or to him or whoever.
Think of it from a medical perspective or an IFAC perspective, right? You know, so
absolutely.
I'm a big
your
proponent.
IFAC you have back here.
Well, no,
for somebody else to use on you.
Well, yes and no. Everything that you just said there is definitely correct. I'm a big proponent of having two IFACs on your kit, on opposite or not necessarily opposing or opposite sides, but in different locations. So this is the reason that I say, you know, what happens in the military is you kind of train for a lot of different situations, right? One of the situations that I was in a vehicle roll. What happens if your IFAC's on your left-hand side, you're driving, and now you're pinned up against that door, and you have a giant wound, you have a gunshot wound in your right arm or in your right leg, and nobody can get to your IFAC, and maybe, you know, their IFAC's not accessible either. Now, in that particular case, having something on your back, it's not going to do you a whole lot of good. That's something to also consider. Are you going to be in a car? Are you going to be on foot? Because if you're going to be in a car and you have a giant piece of equipment on your back and you're sitting like this the whole time, it's not going to be a terribly useful thing, right? So build your kit to your own specific need and specification. That's why Molly's great. That's why having the option to mount it pretty much anywhere is great. And that's why anyone who tells you you're doing it wrong doesn't know you, so they can't really say that you're really doing it wrong. Yeah, build it to you, and consider things like, you know, Mark brought up a good point during our live stream. Instead of having one tourniquet, have 6. You know, because you might not be the only person needing that tourniquet, or you might need it and 2 other people need it. Let's say
you need more than one.
You know, up here, you know, this might sound a little shocking to you guys, but IEDs were actually a thing up here last weekend. People were planting IEDs. Fortunately, none of them went off. That's a thing. That's a real thing. Somebody takes a bunch of, you know, ball bearings to the legs or the arms or the chest. You know, well, the legs or the arms, you know, where a tourniquet is more applicable. You know, you might need 2, 3, 4 of those, and if you only got one, it's not going to do a whole lot of good. So consider, you know, adding a couple to a few more tourniquets to your kit as well. Rats and cats, that's something that that Mark was talking about. Rats, I've never really considered rats to be an applicable form of tourniquet at all. But
I love rats, though.
I love the song, not the tourniquet. But he does make a good point. Rats are infinitely more applicable to younger children.
Sure.
than the cat's tourniquet, just because the cat's tourniquet or the cat tourniquet is quite large, and does not hold that same amount of effectiveness to infants or younger children. Learn your medical stuff. Watch Skinny Medic on YouTube for sources of information.
So good.
Watch Sean Heron's classes, his promo classes and things like that from the We Like Shooting show. Both of those guys are arguably industry leaders in terms of medical knowledge and being applicable to those. Cat Milk, you make a great point. He says diapers are decent as acting at gauze. Yes, they would be. So on that to a greater extent, like, use the resources that are available to you, maybe in a less than conventional fashion. Know your stuff, know what you have in terms of your abilities. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a big thing here, and look that up if you're unfamiliar with what it is. We're not going to go into it because we're already over time, but unfortunately we have to end this kind of on a little bit more serious of a note. But guys, I can't tell you how disheartening it is to be the provider of security for a family and feel like you let them down. And in reality, that's exactly what I did. I know that nothing came of it. And ultimately, did I really let them down? I guess practically, maybe not. But there's always going to be something living in the back of my head saying, what if? What if I had? Like, what if there was? In the immediate, vicinity, I'm confident in my ability to keep my family safe. I know.
So
go ahead,
Tyler. Let me stop you real quick and ask you one important question, which is, did you learn from the experience?
Oh, 100%.
So
100%.
Moving forward, though, have you corrected what you were
Oh, yeah.
lacking?
Yep, absolutely.
Then I think maybe 50% letdown and 50% education at that point.
Yeah, sure. Unfortunately for me, it's still, especially when you have a baby, man, it changes things. It changes the way you feel about stuff. I know it's cliche to say, but like, when you have something that is, I'll end it on a high note here after I say this. Like, when you have something that's just literally helpless, like, just literally helpless. If myself or Megan, if we're not there, that baby, little bean doesn't survive, right? And when you have shit kicking off around you, that message really hits home. It really says, I have a duty to be more than just like a YouTube gun guy or a husband. I'm a dad. Like, I've got a little baby girl in that room that, she could grow up to change the world, right? She could grow up to do anything. She could be the next big thing, right? And God bless her. I hope she has that opportunity. But when my bags aren't packed and when there's danger and stuff like that, I feel like I've robbed her of that opportunity on a potential level. That's the way you think when you're a parent. I think that a lot of other parents out there, if they're listening, and they've found themselves in a situation where they've let their family down in either a security type situation or just in general, like, that weighs on you. It does weigh on you. But the value of that weight is the learning. You're right. The value of that weight is, it tends to, if you're a good human being, it tends to weigh on you to the point where you're like, something needs to change. Something needs to change, and something needs to be better here. I need to be better. My unit needs to be better. My family, we need to practice more. We need to do this. And that is absolutely what happened. We took that experience. We learned from it. One of the reasons I'm giving as much credit to Megan as I am is because without her, that adaptation to the situation would have been infinitely more difficult. But because of her professionalism, because of her ability to just kick it into fucking gear and go just as hard as I was, if not harder, because of her motivation to keep that baby safe, it was just insanity. It was just insanity.
Conversely, to your point, it would have been infinitely harder to actually have a baby without Megan around.
That is true. Adoption's always a thing. I am adopted. I will say that. Now, I will end it on a high note in relation to the earlier situation that we're talking about up in Minneapolis. One of the most entertaining experiences that I've had in a human being came out of this. Hopefully this isn't too anticlimactic. I'm sure it will be for some people, but for me, and once again, for the other parents out there, I think that you'll be able to relate to this. You know, last week, I've said it a million times already, last weekend was a very high stress, high impact time. You can hopefully tell it in my voice that I don't take this not serious. Like, this is not a serious thing. If you live in Fayetteville, if you live in DC, if you live in New York, you're understanding on some levels to a significantly greater extent, what we were going through last weekend. To put this into perspective, essentially the entire city of Minneapolis, South Minneapolis, was on fucking fire. If you go back and you actually look at the photos post, it looks like fucking Bosnia, dude. It looks like a war zone. I mean, there's not buildings that are broken down, but husks of businesses and buildings that have burned and were on fire. There's something like 200 and some odd, 300 fires in 3 days. It was insane. And through all of this stress and combustion and craziness, in the other fucking room, I'm sitting here, I'm playing video games, right? Trying to keep my head level, keep my stress levels down, manage the physical and mental stress. And in the other room, all I can hear is just little baby Ellie squeaking and cooing and cawing, and just happy as a fucking clam. And I'm thinking to myself, isn't that the damnedest thing? Like, if there's a reason to live and exist, it's her. Because through all of the shit that's going on, not only does she not understand, obviously, because she's a baby, but just putting her happiness and her, like, just being a baby, just everything about that, little, almost 1-year-old kiddo, watching that happen at the same time these riots and the destruction and the violence is happening. If that doesn't motivate you to just be the best damn human being that you can, not the best father, not the best husband, but just the best damn human being that you can be, I don't know what will. Because I'm looking in that other room. I'm not even looking at it. I'm just hearing it through the headphones, playing War Thunder, hanging out, just, props to the guys in the Discord for keeping my head cool and not keeping me distracted, but, not letting me get too overly worked up. And props to Ellie for just being her happy little self throughout that whole situation. I mean, what else is she going to do? She's a baby, right? But I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down here. Like, just the juxtaposition of a little happy squeaking, squealing baby who is going to sleep every night with not a care in the world, despite all the crap and craziness that's going around, despite the stress of the parents. Like, she's in just her little safe and secure area. She loves us. She loves herself. She loves her little toys, and that's all that matters to her. And if that doesn't give you a reason to protect that existence, I don't know what will. And that's where I'm gonna end my little shtick on it tonight.
I love that, Tyler. The contrast of innocence versus
it's a good way. Thank you. Innocence, yeah.
The adult life where everything that is scary is real versus what's scary is what's under the bed.
Yeah, exactly. And fortunately, once again for us, nothing came out of it. Nothing really bad, outside of stress and certain realizations that some changes in our routine need to be made. But man, that little girl, you guys know this if you watch this channel for more than the last 45 episodes. You guys know how much not just my wife means to me, but that little girl is my entire world. Like, she is my entire freaking world. And just, it was so much, not fun, but just, it was so interesting to see how little babies care. I mean, of course they're not going to care, but like, when you actually see it thrown up
They're
against...
oblivious.
Yeah.
All the bullshit and
Yeah.
all the disgustingness that life is, and then you see that it's just like this is where we should be. This is the standard we should be at.
That experience is going to stick with me till the day I take my last breath, and I will always see her as that little thing rolling around on the damn carpet, because she's getting close to crawling right now. So she's able to roll, flip-flop, and barrel roll all across the carpet. You turn your head for 1 second, she's done 3 rolls and is now trying to get down the stairs. You know, she's getting to that point, and she's, like I said, she just like squeaks and does her pterodactyl noises and pretends she's a little dinosaur. And man, you put that up against all the crazy shit that was going, and it was an experience I'm never gonna forget. So that is where we're gonna end it, ladies and gentlemen. Thus ends episode 1 of the Tundra Nation. Yes, I'll say that again. The Tundra Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for spending 2 hours and 20 minutes of your time. If you're hanging out in the waiting room, significantly longer than that. But thank you for spending at least 2 hours and 20 minutes of your time with us this fine Saturday evening, where at least up here in Minneapolis, things are, we'll call it stable-ish. And hopefully down there in Laughlin, you're equally as good. I will wish a special message of safety and security to my friends and to the Tundra Nation family members out there that are in less safe circumstances and conditions. Our friends like DeLance and Brandon and you know, guys like Mark and stuff like that. To our friends out in New York or DC areas, Baltimore areas, where it's significantly more hairy this weekend than it was for us last weekend. Be safe, keep your head in a swivel, guys. Please take to heart the advice that I was giving, not because I know what I'm talking about, because I was more just speaking from an experience that I had last weekend, and talking about my faults and shortcomings being applicable to real life, and learn from them like I did, or even better yet, correct them in advance and not have to have that learning experience. I will wish you guys the safest and happiest of weekends. Tune in next week for episode number 2, ladies and gentlemen, where we still don't know what the fuck we're doing. Cheers, everybody. Be safe, be cool, and we'll see you next time. Bye!